Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this live session. So it's a new week, and hence we are back with new revision sessions for you all. So it's a new session for the MPPSC exam. Right. So many of you will be appearing for this exam soon. And I know all of you are really preparing well and studying really hard, right? So to give a boost to that, we are back with a new session of revision for our MPPSC exam. All right, are you all ready? Yes, great. So let's get started. Let me start by sharing my screen with you all. Can you see the screen? Yes, it's visible, right? Yes. So good evening, and welcome again. Welcome to our MPPSC revision session number 10. Good evening, and welcome. Good evening. Hi. Okay. Please like the session, everyone. Please like the session. Hi, Lokesh. Good evening. Good evening, Rudra. Good evening, Hina. All right. So now we can get started with our session. Yeah, chalo. So here's your first question for tonight. In the namesake, Ashok gives Gogol a hardbound book of short stories by Nikolai Gogol for his 14th birthday. Which specific story from this collection does Ashok tell Gogol he must read, which later becomes a symbolic focal point for Gogol? Tell me. Easy, right? It is. Right, the overcoat. In the namesake, Ashok gives Gogol a hardbound book of short stories by Nikolai Gogol for his 14th birthday. And he asked him to read the short story, The Overcoat, which later becomes a symbolic focal point for Gogol. All right, yes, The Overcoat, correct. Next. When Gogol officially changes his name to Nikhil before leaving for college, he encounters a judge. When asked why he wants to change his name, what does Gogol truthfully tell the judge? What does Gogol truthfully tell the judge? That he has never liked the name to begin with. That he has never liked the name to begin with. All right? Yes, next. Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe gave rise to the term Robinsonade. Who originally coined or popularized this specific subgenre designation? Tell me. Defoe's Robinson Crusoe gave rise to the term Robinsonade. Robinsonade. Who originally coined or popularized this specific subgenre distinction? It is Johann Gottlob Schnabel. Johann Gottlob Schnabel coined this term Robinsonade. Okay, clear? Right. What is the symbolic significance of the middle station of life in the context of Crusoe's early spiritual and social conflicts. Another question from Robinson Crusoe, which asks about the middle station of life. Middle station of life. Middle station of life. It means what? It symbolizes a balanced virtual life free from the vices of the high and low extremes of society. That's what Crusoe talks about. The middle station of life, it symbolizes a balanced, virtuous life free from the vices of high and low extremes of the society. All right, yeah, next. In the opening introductory chapters of Tom Jones, to which specific artistic medium does Fielding repeatedly compare his authorial role to emphasize his bill of fare and variety of narrative offerings? It's a good question. Please read the question carefully and answer. In the opening introductory chapters of Tom Jones, to which specific artistic medium does Fielding reportedly compare his authorial role to emphasize his bill of fare and variety of narrative offerings? He compares his authorial role to a public ordinary. It is a public eating establishment. A public eating establishment. All right? Clear? Yes. Next. Which major historical event serves as a crucial backdrop to the travels of Tom and Sophia, heavily influencing the political sympathies and actions of the characters, such as Squire Western's Toryism? Whigs and Tories. So Squire Western's Toryism. Which historical background is there in this novel? The History of Tom Jones by Henry Fielding. The History of Tom Jones, a Foundling by Henry Fielding. It is the Jacobite Rising of 1745. Henry Fielding's classic 1749 comic novel, The History of Tom Jones, a Foundling, is set against the backdrop of the 1745 rebellion, the Jacobite Rising of 1745, where supporters of Bonnie Prince Charlie or Charles Edward Stuart attempted to overthrow the British crown. This backdrop directly fuels the picaresque travels of the main characters and heavily dictates their political loyalties. Characters like Squire Western are portrayed as staunch Tory Jacobites. Tories were conservatives, right? So characters like Squire Western are portrayed as staunch Tory Jacobites whose anti-Hanoverian sentiments create major obstacles and comedic complications in the narrative of this novel. Okay, so the Jacobite uprising of 1745 is the background here, right? Yes. In his Life of Milton, Samuel Johnson famously defined poetry as what? In his Life of Milton, Samuel Johnson famously defined poetry as what? How has Samuel Johnson defined poetry in his Life of Milton? It's from Johnson's Lives of English Poets, right? So how has he described poetry here? Easy. Here, In his Life of Milton, that is, in Lives of English Poets, that is, and specifically within the chapter Life of Milton, Samuel Johnson has defined poetry as the art of uniting pleasure with truth by taking imagination to the help of reason. Right? He has defined poetry as the art of uniting pleasure with truth by taking imagination to the help of reason. Very good. Next. Which poem by Milton did Johnson fiercely criticize, stating, "In this poem there is no nature, for there is no truth. There is no art, for there is nothing new." Johnson said this about which poem of John Milton? Johnson critiqued which poem of Milton thus within his essay in Life of Milton, right? Life of Milton. So which poem by Milton did Johnson fiercely criticize, saying that in this poem there is no nature, for there is no truth. There is no art, so there is nothing new. It is Lycidas. Lycidas, as you all remember, Lycidas is a pastoral elegy by Milton which mourns the death of his Cambridge friend Edward King. Lycidas is a pastoral elegy by Milton which laments the death of his Cambridge friend Edward King. Right? Very good. Next. So as you all know that Vallath has started offering specialized mentorship courses as well. If you feel like you want one-to-one attention for anything, any exam, any difficulty, be it maths or any English exam for that matter, for example, MPPSC, NET, GATE, CVT-PG, Rajasthan set, this set, that, whatever it is. If you feel like you want one-to-one guidance, if you want a mentor, you can come to us. All right. Here is the number on the screen where you can contact us. Okay. Right. Next. In the opening of the novel, Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, published in 1925, as Clarissa walks down the street, which famous Shakespearean play does she mentally quote from to express her feelings about the comforts of death? In the opening of the novel, Mrs. Dalloway by Woolf, as Clarissa walks down the street, which famous Shakespearean play does she mentally quote from to express her feelings about the comforts of death? As you all know, Mrs. Dalloway is a circadian novel. That is, it talks about a singular day in the life of Clarissa Dalloway in the post-World War era. Yes. So, which famous Shakespearean play does she mentally quote from? Cymbeline. Clarissa Dalloway mentally quotes Cymbeline to express her feelings about death. As she walks through London, she recalls the funeral song from Act 4, Scene 2 of Cymbeline. And these lines come to her mind. "Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. To find comfort in the thought of death as a release from the struggles of life." Okay, so she quotes the funeral song from Cymbeline. All right, very good. Next. What is the name of the elderly nurse or woman who represents traditional pre-war London, whom Clarissa frequently observes singing ancient songs across the street from her window? Again, a very intricate textual question from Mrs. Dalloway. Let's see if you can answer this one. What is the name of the elderly nurse or woman who represents traditional pre-war London, whom Clarissa frequently observes singing ancient songs across the street from her window? Across the street from her window. It is Mrs. Dempster. Mrs. Dempster. Option B. Clear? Right. Who among the following commentators propounded the interpretation of rasa as Anumati Vada or Anumiti Vada? It is inference theory based on the Nyaya philosophy. Who among the following commentators propounded the interpretation of rasa known as Anumiti Vada? Inference theory based on the Nyaya philosophy. Nyaya philosophy. It is. It is Shanuka. It is Shanuka. So who was Shanuka? Please listen to me. Sri Shanuka, a 9th century Kashmir aesthetician, propounded the Anumiti Vada or inference theory, rooted in the Nyaya philosophy of logic. His theory believes that, or his theory posits that, aesthetic enjoyment occurs when the spectator logically infers the sthai bhava, the permanent emotion of the original character, by observing the actor's skillful imitation of vibhavas, or determinants, and anubhavas, or that is consequence. So it was Sri Shanuka, a 9th century Kashmiri aesthetician. He propounded the Anumiti Vada or inference theory. Clear? Please look these things up. All right? Right? Shanuka or Shankuka also, it is often said. Okay. Next question. Which among the following statements is incorrect regarding Bharata's Rasa Sutra, Vibhavanubhava Vyabhichari, Samyogad Rasani Rasanishpatti? What is incorrect here? What is incorrect here regarding Bharata's Rasa Sutra? Which statement is wrong regarding Bharata's Rasa Sutra? Option C is wrong, that Vyabhichari bhavas are the permanent stable emotions of the soul. That's wrong because Vyabhichari bhavas are fleeting, temporary, or transitory psychological states like joy, suspicion, despair that come and go to support and enhance the main emotion. That's why option C is wrong, because Vyabhichari bhavas are fleeting, temporary, or transitory psychological states like joy, suspicion, despair that come and go to support and enhance the main emotion. Okay? That's why option C is the answer, because it is wrong. It is a wrong statement. Correct. Very good. So, I think that's all for tonight from our side. I hope today also you love the questions and you enjoyed answering them. And yes, so if you want mentorship for anything, come to us. Okay, right. So tomorrow I will be back at 9:30 p.m. with more questions, with some more revision. Okay, I hope you will join tomorrow as well. And please do like the session. Okay, please like it. And tomorrow we will see each other again exactly at 9:30 p.m. with more questions, more revision. All right? Great. So please take care. Please keep studying and see you all again tomorrow. Bye. Take care. Good night.